In a world of noise, our souls long for slow. Though cultivating a sense of calm in a busy season may feel like putting up a tent in a storm, it is so necessary to keep ourselves well. General slow living practices and habits are all very good and well, but I found that sometimes what I really need is to step away from it all, to spend an hour or two engaging in a slow living activity completely separate from everyday life. So it got me thinking, what are some Scottish slow living activities I can do? I spoke with Erin, who lives in the Scottish countryside and has a gorgeous Scottish ambient YouTube channel, and we decided to do a collaboration on this very topic. I will be sharing more indoor Scottish slow living pastimes and activities, while Erin is going to be focusing on the more outdoorsy side of things, so do be sure to go and watch her video after this one. The first slow living Scottish activity is to go to a storytelling session. Storytelling is a cornerstone of Scottish culture, with storytelling being traditionally at the heart of ceilidhs. Nowadays, ceilidhs tend to be more music and dancing based. However, you can still find Scottish storytelling events and tours across the country. Alternatively, you could peruse some Scottish literature. You have a wide range of choice, of course, everything from the romantic legends of Sir Walter Scott all the way to gritty contemporary tartan noir. If you want some inspiration, you can check out my Scottish reading lists for each season. I've done one for autumn, I've done one for winter, and my spring one is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified for that if you haven't already. Now, I would be very remiss if I did not mention whisky tasting as a slow living Scottish pastime. I think there are few things as slow as whisky, all the way from the maturation process, which takes a minimum of 3 years, but more typically around 10 all the way up to 70 years for a matured single malt Scotch whisky, and then also for the drawn out tasting process. While I'm no expert, I do know the basics of whisky tasting, which I will share with you presently. Okay, so first of all, of course, is to look at the whisky before you do anything else, to consider the viscosity and also the colour of the whisky. I've heard that lighter whiskies tend to be matured in American oak casks, whereas the darker, more amber whiskies tend to be in European oak casks. I think it also has something to do with the length of time that the whisky has been matured for, as of course the longer that the whisky is in the barrel, the more time it's got to soak in the colour of the wood of the barrel. Step 2 is to nose, that is to say, delicately sniff the whisky. So what this can tell you is how the barley for the whisky has been prepared, and by extension, where in Scotland it comes from. Next, of course, is to taste the whisky. And to take your time, swirling it around your mouth, letting the flavours sit on different parts of your tongue to get a feel for what has been used in the process. Now again, I'm no expert, so you're going to have to go to a whisky distillery and get the full tour and a proper tasting session by a whisky master for the full experience. The third Scottish slow living pastime on my list is to try your hand at baking some Scottish treats. One of my personal favourites to bake is shortbread. It can be quick and easy, or you can also take the time to make some designs with it. I just find that engaging with food is one of the loveliest ways to connect with local culture, and also very tasty as well, of course. Visiting museums is a wonderful slow living pastime and activity to enjoy in Scotland. Most of our museums are free or by donation, so they're very accessible, which I love, and there are also so many different kinds in cities and in the countryside. Many of these are about the different ways of life at different time periods in Scotland's history. I think this is so important because history and the way that people lived in the past There's so much wisdom there that I often fear that we are losing in our fast-paced modern society that values different things. Some of my favourites include the Highland Folk Museum at Newton Moor, the Crannog Centre and the People's Palace, which is in Glasgow. It's one of the reasons I'm so interested in the preservation of the Gaelic language, because I think that languages hold secrets about ways of life, wisdom about ways of life, that if you lose the language, you often start to lose the culture. And there is so much in old Scottish culture that's to do with living with the land and not exploiting it, and creating things from hand that last a lifetime. The final item on my list is to learn a traditional Scottish craft. One of the central themes of Coorie is to source things locally and have things handmade where possible. Of course, this can sometimes be quite expensive, so to learn to make things on your own is a really lovely way to engage with that. I really hope that you enjoyed this Scottish slow living activities / pastimes video. If you did, do be sure to like it and also subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, be sure to go and check out Erin Neve's video, which is the second half of this topic. And also, of course, let me know if you think that I've missed anything, and let us all know in the comments down below. But until next time, it was lovely to have you here.